welcome to another edition of The Word. I'm happy to have you here with me today. Today's topic will be the end of days, Armageddon, the end of everything on the earth. When will it be? Are we already seeing the signs of the end? No one knows for sure, but with all the chaos in the world, wars, crooked politicians, disease, global warming, it certainly seems as if the end must be near. And, it could be. Nobody actually knows when the end will come and when the Antichrist is going to rise for a 7-year reign. Now, a lot of folks out there say the signs are everywhere. They're all around us. But I'm not so sure. To me, there's two schools of thoughts, or rather time. Now, on the one hand, there's God's time. Well, God's time is vastly different from ours. After all, creation was 7 days to God? And it was 13 million years to us? Well, at that rate, 2,000 years is going to be a very, very long time. On the other hand, there's man's time. Jesus walked amongst us as a man, so if he meant 2,000 of our years, then it's going to be very, very soon. Now, that's an interesting point. Just to wander for a minute. We talk about BC, which is before Christ, and we talk about AD, which is after death. Why is there no DL for during life? Did time stop while Jesus walked the earth? We know the crucifixion happened when Jesus was in his 30s. So why were those 30 years just skipped over in the recording of time? Something is definitely wrong with that picture. So, if we're going to use man's time, and if Jesus died at year 0, then 2000 would have marked his coming again, and Armageddon would be more of a history lesson. Anyway, back to the topic. Assuming Jesus lived to be 35, and assuming perhaps someone got it wrong and maybe AD is really AB for after birth, he's coming again would be around 2035 in man's time. Now, Jesus arrives after the Antichrist and defeats it. So, we have to subtract the 7 years from that. That brings us to about 2028. This would be sooner or later, depending on the actual age of Jesus at his death. Well, in 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 8, Peter writes, "But do not forget this one thing, dear friends. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day." So the timing is completely up in the air in reality. In scouring the Bible, and I used a search engine, and I'm not finding any reference at all as to the supposed 2,000 year theory. Where are we getting the 2,000 years? All that we're left with are the many signs that are in the Bible, and they're so vague. Most of them have already been applied inaccurately already. Now, in 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 10, Peter goes on to say, "But the day of the Lord will come like a thief. The heavens will disappear with a roar, the elements will be destroyed by fire, and the earth and everything done in it will be laid to bear." Well, to me, that sounds a lot like a meteor strike. When did that happen last? When the dinosaurs died. And we certainly can't predict that kind of event. It seems that trying to guess the end of days is kind of a favorite pastime for Christians and prophets alike. I mean, the supposed time comes and it goes, and a lot of them just bump it further into the future. Oh, it didn't work this year. It'll be next year. And they don't even blink. Well, in Matthew chapter 24, verses 4 to 5, Jesus says, "Watch out for that no one deceives you. For many will come in my name, claiming I am the Messiah, and will deceive many." Now, aside from a small cults, a small few little cults and weirdos and crazies, there's been no big major political leader that's come up and said, "I'm Jesus." And besides that, the first to claim this is going to be the Antichrist, and whoever that is going to be the world leader. We don't have a world leader yet, so seeing as how the globalists have not had their day in the sun, this sign is yet to come. In Matthew chapter 24, verse 6, Jesus continues to say, "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come." Well, we certainly have had and still have plenty of wars. But Jesus also clearly states that this is not a sign of the end. This is just par for the course. This is going to happen. This other natural disasters like earthquakes, famines, it's all going to just occur. Now in Matthew chapter 24, verse 9, Jesus continues, "Then you will be handed over to be prosecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me." Okay, now there's something that hits home. That's certainly happening now. With the rise of terrorism and the fall of the rights to pray in public or in schools, they want to take God off the dollar bills. I mean, it's a major reason to stand behind our president, because he's trying to put God back into our broken country. But yeah, you see that everywhere. But if you think about it, Christians have always been prosecuted for their belief. So it's another true yet vague sign. Now Jesus speaks of more horrors to come on that fateful day, and then in Matthew chapter 24, verse 29, he says, "Immediately after the distress of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken." Wow. Again, this seems very much to me like a meteor strike. I mean, imagine if we just had a few days' notice of a huge meteor big enough to wipe out all or most of the life on the earth. What would happen? There would be panic, looting and murder, suicides. I mean, civilization would just go out the door. There'd be people trying to hide, there'd be people trying to pray. And then after the meteor hit, fire would wipe out everything on the surface of the earth. Earthquakes, volcanoes would be triggered. A thick layer of dust would fill the atmosphere, and that would block the sun. It would block the moon, it would block the stars. You wouldn't see any of that. The world would be plunged into a hellish nightmare darkness for many years. That sound familiar? Remember, it's a blend of science and the Bible, and if it's God's plan to bring an end to mankind once again, well, a meteor would certainly do the trick. Now in Matthew chapter 24, verse 36, Jesus says, "But about that day or hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, not only the Father." So whatever the disaster the Bible refers to as Armageddon, it's going to take us all by surprise. God does not want us to know when. Why? He wants us to always be ready. So when you hear people saying, "This is it, the end of days," or prophets predict the end will come in year such and such, know that this is false. Know that it's false, because no one is going to know except the Father. So how in the world do we prepare for such an event? Do we hoard food and secure a safe place to hide? Do we stress out searching the skies for a huge rock we can't stop from coming? Do we really need to do any of these things? The answer is so simple. All we need to do is accept God into our hearts. When God is with us, we no longer fear death. With God in your heart, death becomes a simple door to a better place. You leave your body behind, and your eternal soul joins God in His kingdom. The end of days is actually a gift. In God's kingdom, there is no sickness. There's no death, no hunger, no disease. There's no hate, there's no fear. There's none of the negative things that plague the earth. There's only pure joy, love, and happiness. So, why not get ready right now? Secure your place by accepting God into your heart. Ask for the forgiveness that Jesus died to guarantee you. It's really just that easy. I want to thank you all for joining me today. I hope I've touched the heart of just one person. If just one viewer turns to God, it's a wonderful thing. Remember, God is calling to you. He waits patiently at the door of your heart. He wants to be in your heart, and it doesn't matter how tainted your past. Just look at me. Until next time, God bless you.